I graduated from this seminary 30 years ago. And what I said after I left was that I would never preach in this chapel again. Never. Told everybody, black folks, white folks, and everybody in between, not gonna do it. But God has a way of making fools of us in our foolish promises. And so here I am back doing what I said I would never do, and I'm going to break all the rules. And I'm breaking the rules because when President called me, I said, "You really want me to do this now at such a time as this with what's going on in the world?" And she said, "Yeah, bring it." So here I am. And so I just would just like to spend a few minutes just in that chapter of the Gospel of John. You know, the chapter is full of theological jewels. We are told that the story unfolds by the Sea of Galilee. That's where Jesus walked on water and calmed the storm, and Peter and Andrew were called there to be fishers of people. Yeah, I'm an Eden graduate. People. and it was a strange grouping in this story. You know, you got to set that text into context. And it's a strange grouping. First of all, there was only 7 of them there. So where were the other 4? Not to mention that 2 of the disciples that were named, Thomas and Nathaniel, they had no connection with fishing at all. What they was doing on a boat trying to catch some fish is beyond me. Because they were more like me. What I know about fish is like, I like coleslaw and tartar sauce. Okay? So what they were doing, we don't even know. But it's clear to me that here they are, hanging out together. And you gotta wonder, this is a post-resurrection appearance. You know, I mean, Jesus has already got up. And they've had some experiences, but they're still kind of, can I say confused? Can I say disillusioned? Can I say they were still looking for something? Because they didn't quite know what was going on. And so when crazy happens in the world, and when crazy happens in your life, you have a tendency to want to go back to the things you used to do. You know, the last words of the church is, "We never done it like this." And they may be the last words of some churches. Because in these days and times, to say that you've never done it like this is to close yourself to the possibility that God will do a new thing in you. In your church, in your midst, in your chaplaincy, in your wherever you serve, wherever you are, God might want to do a new thing, and here you are with all your luggage, all your issues. You done took the Bible, got your good tools, and reinterpreted it to fit your world. That's the difference between exegesis and eisegesis. I learned that here. You know, sometimes we want to just make the church look like us. I'll get back to that later. But this is all going on, and you got to think about this in John. Here is Peter, right? Peter, who had flunked at every junction. Peter, who open mouth, put foot in it all the time. Peter, who actually was walking on water and then took his eye off Jesus and sunk. Peter. And so here they are, this strange grouping, and they're still hanging out together, and you wonder, you know, but I guess anytime you hang out with Jesus, a group of people, or 2 or 3, and you walk and you stay in that word and you try to learn, there's a bond that forms with you. So you stay together, or at least some of us do. So inquiring minds might want to know, well, why would you want to do this and talk about this at the graduation of a class who's getting ready to go out, who's excited, passed your orals, finished all of that stuff. You know you're getting your degree, your family is here, and you're ready. We're getting ready to turn you loose on the church, on the community, in the hospitals. God forbid, there you go out there operating with a dull scalpel. Because as good as the tools that we have and that we got in this place, when you get out in the real world, the people will let you know real quick, yeah, that's nice. I love your theology and I love your God talk. But let me tell you about my life. I need something real. I don't need you to tell me about the already and the not yet. Even if I need to know, I don't understand. But when you take these tools and you break them down and you start to work with them and you scalpel them, then you begin to create situations and scenarios that begin to let you breathe. Breathe in Scripture. Breathe in the Spirit. You get space to do things and think things that you didn't think before. You know, you learn about other people. One thing about coming to Eden, and this is going to be my testimony, so y'all just work with me here. Don't get insulted. I'm just being honest. When I came here because my father in the gospel graduated from here. Yes, he did. And I came here, and after 1 week, I had decided, I'm not sure these people are saved. I'm serious. And I was trying to be cool about it because, you know, I was a child, a product of busing. I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn, New York. I hung out with all kinds of folks, you know. So I'm like, I'm pretty cool. I said, but you know, these UCC folks, I didn't even know what UCC was. I said, ooh, and so I'm going to tell you this little joke. Don't tell nobody, okay? But I used to tell people, if roaches organize, the UCC will take them in. And you know, for those of us who know about roaches, we ain't trying to. Now we know all God's children got a place in the choir, the critters, everybody. But roaches are not my friend. And so in Eden, I began to wonder, you know, wait a minute, what's going on here? But it was at Eden that I learned to sing the songs of Zion in a strange land. It was at Eden, sitting over in one of those, there used to be pews back there, where I would cry when I understood that psalm that said, oh, they required of us to sing a song. Because I was in a strange place, in a strange land. And the class of 93, if any of y'all are here, y'all know we was buck crazy. We argued about everything. We were one extreme to the other. And in that time of the seminary life, we were being communitized. That was the word. You had to take a community class because it was going to make us live and be with each other and love each other. We hated each other more. By the time I got finished with the community class, one of them classes, somebody had put a Bible on the floor, slid it across, somebody had put their foot on it. My black church tradition, I almost just fell over and died before Jesus right there. Oh, Lord! They took the holy word and threw it on the floor. That happened here at Eden. It was here at Eden that after I preached in that convocation, right over in that section, right over there, I'm telling it all today. I was coming out, and one of the graduates said, loud enough, not the graduates, the reunion class said, I guess Eden can't teach white people how to preach no more, huh? That is what caused me to say I would never preach in this place again. Because I knew then what I know now, that people can make their mouth say anything. And here we are, the Eden Theological Seminary, progressive and full of justice. Racism was prevalent everywhere. But we were trying to make do while we were undone. And there was, look, y'all got alumni. Look, we got these fancy things. We didn't have this when I came. The African Americans could have met in a phone booth. Some of y'all are old enough to know what a phone booth is. We didn't have that, you know. And so here we were. And it was in this place, though. I don't even need this. It was in this place. It was in this place that some of my preaching brothers, whom I studied with, who didn't believe in preaching women, got convicted. I'm not going to call his name, but I laugh about it every time I hear the story. He just was walking around the quad. It was before it was real fancy. And our apartment, we lived in the guest apartment. My daughter, she said she lived in a closet, but that's another story. And so here we are, and all of this is going on in this place, this evening place. And you know, and they keep telling me, oh, we're so liberal. We're about justice. We want to treat everybody right. Then they start talking this stuff about inclusive language. Now, that's part of your world now. But that wasn't a part of our world. I didn't even understand what the problem was. I was like, In my church tradition, we say God was a mother and a father to me. A brother and a sister. I had no orientation for that. I did not understand that. And so it was in this place that I learned what I believed, why I believed what I believed. I knew it. And I began to define it and understand it as something bigger than just my world and my view and my church. And I also was living under the oppression that most people of color live under when you're in a predominantly white space, is you got to behave yourself. Right, Dr. O? You got to carry yourself in such a way that you represent the race well. As women, you know, you got to dress right, Tracy. You can't just be running around with leopard print skirts and black collars on. It was in this place that all of that happened. And so one of the things that reminds me as I sit here and talk about this, you say, well, why would you bring all this up now? I bring this up because the class of 2023, you going out into a public space that is so ugly, so vital. It's got those of us who love the Lord questioning whether or not we can still be the beloved community. I've been struggling with this because, you know, some of us have been Don Lemons before. Some of us have lost churches because of our theology. Some of us have had to leave churches because our own isms, our own sexism, our own prejudices was killing not only us, but everybody in the pews too. But it was in this place that God sent someone before I came, whom I did not know and who did not know me. But he loved me and he loved us and he poured into us. I'll never forget the one time I thought I had disappointed him because I used to sing with the band over in the Commons. Yes, it was holy music. I understand now that we created that line between sacred and secular music, but I was over there singing Sam Cooke because y'all were killing me in the chapel. Okay? So I'm over there, and so he came by one day, one Friday night, evening, sister, I want you to remember that you came here to get a degree. You said to me, don't lose focus. And Dr. Oglesby, you paid a price in this place for those of us that we, I come back to this space and reclaim it because I'm eating too. And so are you. And so, Dr. O, everywhere we go, am I right, Freddie? Everywhere we go, people say, you know, you and Freddie have the same theology. I said, no, me and Freddie had the same professor. He taught us ethical behavior. He taught us dignity. He respected us. And he loved us. And so in this place, in this space, because we are eating, and this is part of our story, I wrap you in this.
Thank you.
There are those of us who wouldn't have made it if it hadn't been for him. And for those of us who have worked in white space and institutions, you know it takes an extra piece and an extra thing on your family. And I used to give me what we have from Miss Gloria. And we know the sacrifice. We know that you kept making a way for us. But we also know that we know that you always had his back. So here's the deal back to the text, right? This is part of the text. Because here Peter is restored, right? And here he's already, oh, hi, baby. He's already. He looked back and saw John and said, well, what about him? And I messed with that text. I'm limping with it. I was like, well, what's wrong with that question? What about him? Well, it's the motivation behind the question, right? What about him? Did you leave him out? What about him? Because he was more faithful than anyone else? What about him? Is he going to get less? Okay. What about him? So I tried to work it, and, but I knew my eating tools just wouldn't let me eisegete that thing the way I wanted to. It's amazing how often God and the scriptures agrees with my point of view. You would be amazed. Clue. Jesus didn't like that question. He didn't ask about the motivation, but he didn't like that question because he went off. Didn't he? In the text, right? He said, well, this ain't your business. I told you to follow me. You got your call. What you worried about her call for? What is this? Jesus is not happy with that. And what I came to say today is that what about me stuff. He gave me my first A in an election. 33 years ago. I was so proud. I really was. and there we were. Just all of this is going on. What about me? What about me? And when I wrestled with this sermon, I used to say, I thank God for the African American students that came after me. Because if it had not been for y'all, I would have never come back. The only time I ever came back was when Dr. O asked me, or when one of the students asked me to do something. Because I knew I had a shared experience with them, and I had a love for them. And I want to thank you all right now for keeping me tied to this thing. Because I would have never had this moment to say thank you. Thank you for following in the legacy of what we represent in this place. We are not second thoughts. We are not. Why would black folks come to the Eden Theological Seminary? It's a mystery. But there's a lot of good stuff behind it. But there's a lot of ugly stuff behind it. But I want to thank all of you for that moment. And for the class of 2023, I want to say to you, the tools that I got here were extraordinary. I know they were extraordinary because I could beat some of my professors with them later. Oh yes, we got great joy. Great joy. I got great joy in saying, well, you told me this. And Dr. O taught me that I have to learn to live in the tension between the already and the not yet. But I'm going to tell y'all, these last few years, I've been looking a little sideways about this beloved community. We're being attacked, Jewish synagogues, guns, our communities, all of this ugly, ugly stuff, the politics, and we running around talking about, but we're a Christian nation. Prove it! Why? Why? So I'm here to tell you, class of 2023, as you go out here, wherever you go, you got your call, right? Because I was amazed when I got here. Some of my classmates had never preached. I'm like, how can this be? In the black church tradition, you wouldn't dare come to seminary and you had never preached. I'm like, what do you mean you never preached? What kind of church do you come from? And look, and back in the day, they called it the trial sermon. It was serious. You know, you just to go over there and talk about no ABC, do the red print and sit down. It was serious. They was going to vote. But here, you've got the tools now. But don't think so highly of yourself with those tools that you forget that that's all they are tools. You still got to meet the people where they are. You still got to serve. You still got to recognize you got a call and it's your call. You got to know that it's the call that God placed in your life and it was designed just for you. It wasn't designed for him and his. And if you stop asking what about and just do what Jesus had told us to do, because the call says follow me. The call says imitate me. The call says, my professor taught me the imago Dei of God. The image of God is my capacity to love. It has nothing to do with how I look on the outside. It's my capacity to love and be with people whom I don't particularly care for. Did you hear what I said? I don't like some of y'all. Let me be clear. I don't even like this spot over here. I'm sorry you're sitting there. Okay, I will stay over here. But we serve a God that if we accept this call, we have to put aside our own luggage and our own stuff. We have to say, I want to follow Jesus. You got to be able to speak about your hurts and your pain and call out injustice where it is. Because what I learned from my professor was that I am never going to let the image, my image, created, my imago Dei, I'm not going to have God look at me and say, your ism kept you from loving this or that. I want God to look at me and say, yes, you love like me. Yes, even those ones you don't like and you don't agree with, you still should be able to sit down and worry and talk with one another. So I came to tell you, class of 2023, that had it not been for the Eden experience, and had it not been for the blood, the sweat, and the tears, and it had not been for a faculty who was able to look even beyond their own racial isms and see different things in us, I would not be the person I am today. And I'm grateful to say that it's one thing to be healed. One of my sisters taught me this, but it's a whole other thing to recover. But I have recovered. And I came back to this place to say, you want to be Eden? You want to lean in? I'm Eden. You got to lean in with my story. I'm going to lean in with your story. Don't get mad when I bring up things that I think are unjust. Just know that I took the tools that we had all together and I'm trying to follow Jesus. I noticed, Chris, I love the way y'all do these lyrics, because that's all another thing about Eden. I learned some songs I never knew in my life. You know, but I worked with a multicultural congregation, so it was good. It was like, how do you know that song? I learned that at Eden. But now I notice y'all just changed some words up on some songs I knew all my life. I'm like, wait a minute, when did that happen?
Tell me about it.
The class of 2023. How am I doing, Chris? Time-wise? Because I promised I wouldn't go too long. I'm going to bring it home. So class of 2023, we're going to slide through all of this. Is that the call. That's what brought you here, I hope. And when you leave here, I hope you take the call with you. I hope you personalize it. Not that you own it, but that God owns you. That your partnership and your dedication to the call will make you reach past the things that you would normally do. You'll come back and preach in a chapel where you were wounded. You will come back to a place that they're going to give me some Beverly Hollers when I say this. My grandfather in the gospel says that an honorary doctorate is donated dignity. I came to get my donated dignity. Because, you know, we're proud that we earned it, but I came to get my donated dignity. And I said, and my aunt in the gospel, who is an Eden graduate too, says, but you did earn it. You didn't earn it in the classroom. You earned it in your ministry. You earned it in the community. So I'm going to tell y'all what. I'm going to take this donated dignity, and I'm going to say, if you can remember anything about all of the things that I shared with you, is that we have the potential to be the beloved community. Because in this space, we have seen things transformed. There are things that I have been transformed about in this place, even with the wounds. And now that I know that God is a healer, but I also know that God is a restorer. And I want y'all to know I got my eyes on you. So don't come running up to me talking about, you my Eden sister. Because I found out when somebody has their foot on your neck, it doesn't matter if it's a Stacey Adams or a high heel. A foot on the neck is a foot on the neck. We've got to be authentic with each other. And we've got to put our hands together and move forward for such a time as this. Class of 2023, I claim you. What about your call? What about your isms? What about your preferences? What about your service? Whose feet are you going to wash that you never wanted to touch or be with? When are you going to get over your stuff long enough to help those who are being victimized by systems that are just so unrelentlessly oppressive? When are we going to fix the road and stop feeling good about the little charity we do as we do little things in the community? Fix the road. Fix the institution, Deb. Fix those things. And so when I tell you it's about the call, it's about the service, it's about the never-ending leaning in to God. So when you see me or you hear me say, I am Eden, I want you to know I'm proud of it. I'm not proud of the pain, but I'm proud of the God that healed me and restored me. I'm proud of the people in this place who reached the cross and helped make a difference in the world. And that's going to be our story, because we are Eden everywhere we are.